Welcome everybody, my name is Steve Monaco, and tonight you are in for a great treat. We are watching the 2025 Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Now, with me right here to my left is the amazing Bill Jacquie. I am Steve Monaco. I am the chairman of the board for the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. And Bill, welcome to the show. Now, you have been a legacy broadcaster now in Buffalo for a little bit now as the owner of the WEBR radio station here. And also now, because one is not enough, Bill has two. He has WLVL also in the city of Lockport. Bill, welcome to the show. And tell me a little bit about your career in broadcasting and what brought you to purchasing these two great stations.
Good question, actually. I started when I was around 19, 20 years old at the original WWOL radio, AM and FM, and got my boot training there. And the manager was kind of cool guy. It's back to local. He kind of let us do what we wanted to do to promote local business. And during the course of that time, and of course, I ended up at WBUF, which was Foxy 93. Met friends in the industry at PhD and WYSL, and picked up their tricks, and then ended up advertised a little bit on JJL, and the owners were going to retire. The station was going to go dark, and I just couldn't see that happening. So I stepped up and I bought the first station. Was blessed that WEBR call letters was still available. And obviously we know that's been the second radio station in the Buffalo market back in 1924. Wow. So it was kind of that kind of spin. And I said to myself, I was helping all these businesses. Why not me helping other businesses with my own radio station?
I think that's amazing. Bringing home those nostalgic WEBR call letters is absolutely amazing. And I have to tell you, through this show tonight, you are going to see some of the greatest broadcasters right here on WBBZ-TV. And I think it's time, let's take a look at the first group of inductees to the Hall of Fame.
We are proud to introduce the Buffalo Media Awards, recognizing excellence in radio, television, and digital media. The votes are in, and tonight is the night we will honor not just the Hall of Famers, but current voices and creators who are moving our industry forward. Congratulations to all of this year's nominees and winners. Our Education Committee has been hard at work too, building meaningful partnerships with Buffalo State University, Canisius University, and starting next year for Villa Maria College. These collaborations help align media education with real-world industry needs, and the results are already visible. Interns and graduates from these programs are now working across Western New York's TV and radio stations, and we're also going to be honoring, we have, with the nominations for the Rising Star, which we'll be giving away later tonight. We're proud to be helping launch these next generation of broadcasters. I'd also, if the guys want to stand back there at table 5 for our sports broadcast journalism program. Tonight you'll also have the chance to meet 3 inspiring young individuals, the recipients of the BBA Scholarship Award. Each of these students have shown exceptional promise, and we're proud to award them $1,000 each to support their journey in broadcasting, and we could not have done that without Mr. Russell Salvatore, and I want to thank you for everything that you do for this community. All of it, is made possible because of your support. So if you're not already a member of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, I encourage you to join us at buffalobroadcasters.com and be part of preserving and advancing media legacy that we're all so proud of. We're not just a Facebook page. There is a lot to this organization. And again, I thank you for your support. So once again, on behalf of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, thank you for supporting our mission. Congratulations to all of our inductees. And now let's just start giving away some Hall of Fame awards. This year's President's Award goes to David Ross. After earning his FCC license in 1976, he began his career at the Buffalo State College, where he has served as chief television engineer since 1988. He has been building the university's production facilities. He has also worked with NBC, CBS, ABC, ESPN, and CNN as freelance, and worked the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. Also the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Buffalo Bills championship games. But most importantly, what he's done, he's kept the lights on over at Buff State College. Dave Ross, when we needed him to put together our educational initiatives, he was there. In fact, when we said we needed to redo some lighting, he actually went out of his own pocket to buy the lights because it wasn't in the budget. It is my great honor to give this year's President's Award to Mr. David Ross.
I know when Steve called and said, congratulations, you're getting your award, I said, you're kidding. I can think of a dozen more people more qualified than me. I want to just take a moment to talk about them, the guys who went on before us, the guys that made this industry. They came out of World War II with a little more than high school education. And maybe got some training in the military and came on and built this life in the industry that we all love so much. And they did it with just guns. They did that. If you didn't have broadcast supply West to go and take a box, plug it in and make it work. No, they had to do it with the whole cloth. They went in the back, they found some switches. Somebody said, hey, you know, it'd be nice if I could talk to the announcers. Okay, let's make some buttons here, we'll make an IFP so we can talk to them. Somebody else came and said, you know, we're doing a live show. If we could just get a tape delay in case we have to bleep something. Yeah. Well, you know, if we take VTRA and we stream the tape across the control room and around the coffee machine and go into VTRB, we can get 4 seconds of delay. This is what happened. These guys made the industry. Sometimes people have said I'm the last of the old-time chief engineers. I'm very proud of that because I learned from these guys. Probably 400 years ago or better, Sir Isaac Newton said, if I see farther than other people, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. And that's very true, and that's how I feel. And I really want to honor these guys and their memory and what they've given to the industry and what I learned from them and what I try to keep alive every day. There's another faction we all know. We've all been there. I have my wife Janet over here. We all have that other person who gets up with us at 3 o'clock in the morning for those early morning calls. And who sits there silently at home when you're driving home after 13 hours of a blinding snowstorm to get back. We all owe them a round of applause. Don't know everybody. They do it for always there. I thank you so very much for this. I really appreciate it. I thank all of you. I've made some wonderful friends over the years. I know in Atlanta Olympics, I was walking over the hill with a guy I never saw before. And we see all the people down below at the reception beforehand. He says, wow, it's like a party with 3,000 of your closest friends. And that's true, because everybody in this industry knows everybody else. I'm very proud to be part of it. I'm proud to be working with Steve and helping the next generation of broadcasters. I take a great deal of pleasure with that. I thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
All right, one more as I wind down my term as president. Tonight, we give the Service in Broadcasting Award to Cindy Abbott-Letro, a visionary leader whose passion for the arts, broadcasting, and community have shaped the cultural heartbeat of Western New York. For being a host on AM Buffalo, to working with the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra, the Birchfield Penny Arts Center, She was chair of the Buffalo Niagara Film Commission now for 2 decades. Cindy has opened doors and created stages for countless voices. Through her Behind the Camera series and her timeless advocacy, she has spotlighted Buffalo's creativity, earning many prestigious honors, and tonight, we are proud to add one more honor. Cindy Abbott, welcome to the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Thank you all for according me this great recognition. A lot of years have passed since I came to Buffalo. It was 1980, and I came to host and associate produce AM Buffalo at WKBW TV with Brian Kale. I consider myself a storyteller, and AM Buffalo gave me the opportunity to tell wonderful stories about the city and the region, to highlight what was best, exciting, and transformational. And it was at a time when KB was at the top of its game. Cap Cities Communication, a truly great broadcast company, owned and operated the station, and we had gifted management. Our news operation with Bert, Rick, and Tom was at the top of its game. And the city was a place where exciting things were happening. AM Buffalo was the place to tell your story. We covered sports, everyone from Muhammad Ali to Wayne Gretzky to Jim Kelly. They sat for interviews. Politicians from Mario Cuomo to Louis Farrakhan to Buffalo Mayor Jimmy Griffin appeared, and in the mayor's case, stormed off the set when he didn't like the questions that were asked. Celebrities and entertainers, from Dustin Hoffman to Oprah Winfrey to Robin Williams, they shared their current projects. The news of the day was AM focused as well, from the closing of Bethlehem Steel to toxic contamination in West Valley to blizzards that shut down the city. We were the highest rated local talk show in the country. It was fun, exciting, and challenging, and I rode that way for 10 years, making contacts with everyone who was anyone in the region, contacts that would remain as friends and colleagues in the years that followed. It was during that time, post The Natural, that I joined an effort to nurture the film industry in Buffalo. It's taken over, believe it or not, 30 years, and it is finally getting traction. And if you told me back then that I would still be working with Tim Clark and Bob Kaczynski, I would not have believed it, but believe it, it's true. After 10 years at AM, I went on to work as a corporate spokesperson, did a little news anchoring, and continued to work as an interviewer for a variety of cable operations. Kevin Keenan, where are you? Because you and I hosted a show together. And I volunteered for a variety of boards, from the Birchfield Penny to the Buffalo Philharmonic to New York State Parks, helping not-for-profits refine their stories and in many cases raise a whole lot of money. Life has never been dull, and I could have never accomplished it without the love of my life, Mr. Francis Litro, who is still with me. There he is. It hasn't been easy, but I thank you for hanging with me. I've never stopped telling stories and have never stopped loving this place I call home. Thank you for adding my name to the distinguished members of the Hall of Fame, and a special thank you to board member Nancy Sanders, who has been my relentless advocate. Thank you, Nancy. I am truly moved and grateful. Thank you.
Our first Hall of Fame inductee is well known among radio listeners, particularly in Batavia.
A true master of his craft. He's done it all in radio, including owning the station. Here's the career story of Dan Fisher.
Tonight, we honor a true broadcast professional whose career spanned more than 5 decades, Dan Fisher. Dan's journey began in 1969 in Utica, New York, where he landed his very first radio job. He walked in for an interview at 10 a.m. and by 2 p.m. was live on the air as a country DJ. spinning records by the only country artist he knew at the time, Johnny Cash. A few months later, management noticed his knack for rip and read news delivery and appointed him news director. At first reluctant, Dan quickly became captivated by the immediacy and impact of broadcast journalism. 3 years later, he moved west to Jamestown, New York, joining WKSN and WHUG, where he spent the next 30 years. Rising through the ranks, he eventually became vice president and general manager, overseeing 5 stations in Chautauqua County. In 2004, Dan and his wife Debbie bought WBTA, a heritage station in Batavia. Under their leadership, the station deepened its community connection and grew to financial success before being sold in 2023 to an employee, ensuring local radio would remain in local hands. Alongside his station leadership, Dan's career included lecturing in broadcast management at SUNY Fredonia, teaching at Jamestown Community College, and consulting overseas for the U.S. State Department to help develop private broadcasting in Africa and Eastern Europe. He also freelanced as a videographer, newspaper correspondent, and regional photographer for Buffalo television stations. Dan's contributions earned him numerous awards from the New York State Broadcasters Association, United Press International, and the National Headliners Club. Even in retirement, he remained deeply engaged in his community, serving on boards, leading civic organizations, and sharing his love of music as president of the Batavia Concert Band. At the core of Dan Fisher's 54-year career is a simple truth. He believed the airways belong to the public, and that broadcasters are entrusted with the privilege and responsibility of serving the public interest. Ladies and gentlemen, let us join in recognizing a lifetime of service and excellence. Dan Fisher.
I didn't recognize that guy that Pat was talking about there. I think it was me. And Steve Monaco, I don't know where you are, but please put 45 minutes on the clock. I obviously want to thank the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. I got involved with them, 3 years ago, and it's been a great ride. Met a lot of people that I knew of in the industry, but didn't get a chance to really socialize with them. I am particularly proud of this award because this is the first time that the BBA has recognized a broadcaster from the Buffalo ADI, and that means in the industry area of dominant influence, it's apart from Buffalo Metro. So this award went to a broadcaster, in my case, out of Batavia, but would include Dunkirk, Fredonia, Jamestown, Olean, Niagara Falls, Lockport, the stations around Buffalo. So I'm particularly proud that the BBA reached out and included those stations into their Hall of Fame. I'm glad to have my family here tonight. They're seated right up here, and the support that they've given me, my daughters and my nieces, they're just wonderful. And at the table behind them are colleagues that I've worked with over the years. Howard Owen from the Batavian, Dave Raleigh, who worked in my newsroom for years and years, Danny Palmer from Mr. Sports at WDOE, Ted Schwalbe and his lovely wife Joanne, who got me involved in the overseas work that I had a chance to do, probably one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, and speaking to broadcasters in Africa and a couple of years later in Bulgaria. Also want to recognize Jim Ernst, who has taken over the reins of WBTA, and he worked for me for a number of years. I taught him every little thing I know, which is a little, and so Jim is now running WBTA and doing a fine job. And lastly, and it was mentioned by our first honoree tonight, my wife Deb, who and I'll get through this, I know I will, yes, who deserves this award every bit as much as I do. We worked together for about 51 years, and she's every bit the broadcaster that I hope I am. And for the past 36 years, I've been married to her. What a partnership. Honey, I love you, you know that, and nothing would have been possible without you. Thank you to the BBA. Thank you.
Some broadcasters go to work at one station, and then there's Hank Nevins.
That is right. So many of you know Hank. We can hear him on Odyssey. We hear him on WLVL, where he has spent decades keeping our community informed and entertained. Here's a look now at the long career of Hank Nevins.
Hank Nevins' broadcast journey began halfway around the world. As a young serviceman with the American Forces Vietnam Network, he kept soldiers connected through radio and television during his time in Saigon. When Hank returned home in 1970, Western New York airwaves quickly became his stage, from WGR to WKBW, and then WLVL in Lockport, where he climbed from on-air talent to general manager. Hank proved himself a true leader behind the mic and in the boardroom. His career took him beyond Buffalo to Vermont, overseeing sister stations, and later to Schenectady, guiding powerhouse brands like WGY and WRVE. But home was calling. By 1985, Hank was back in Western New York, programming WBEN-FM, and eventually managing both WBEN-FM and WBEN, shaping the voices and sound that listeners trusted every day.
True broadcasters judge other broadcasters on their ability to do multiple things, thus the term broadcasting. And a lot of the best broadcasters do things that are special off the air. Not only are they good on the air, but they also connect deeply with their community. And not only in Buffalo, but in Hank's hometown of Lockport, he is so connected and has done so many things over the years for the community. That's really what a true broadcaster does, is they get involved in the community, they do all kinds of things to make it a better place, and that's what a broadcaster does. So it's not just a newscaster, not just an announcer, not just a disc jockey or air talent, but somebody who's a true broadcaster is somebody who's very engaged, and Hank Nevins is engaged as ever.
Hi Hank, it's your old friend Tom Donahue. Congratulations to you on your induction into this year's Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
In '86, Disney World down in Florida celebrated their 15th anniversary. And you talk about a celebration. They invited over 30,000 members of the media, radio, television, and the print media, to come down there, and we were treated like royalty. Our money was no good. Whatever you wanted, they gave you. You got. They fed us top drawer every meal. The entertainment was unbelievable. And we were there for 4 days, and Hank and our wives went together down there. And I will remember that with my last breath on earth as being one of the greatest experiences I ever had. And I'm glad to say I shared that with my buddy Hank. And I'm sure he has fond memories of it as well. And once again, I want to congratulate him on his induction. And I hope to see you again at lunch soon. A bunch of us radio guys get together maybe once a month for lunch, and I see Hank at some of those meetings, and I'm looking forward to the next one, Hank. God bless.
I just want to say congratulations to one of my closest longtime friends, Hank Nevins, on your induction into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Very well deserved, and God bless you, my friend.
From Saigon to Schenectady, from Buffalo to Lockport.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hank Nevins.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
On conference weekend.
Hank Nevins has been a steady, trusted voice for more than 5 decades. And now, His voice joins the chorus of legends in the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Please welcome Hank Nevins.
My first full-time job in radio, in broadcasting, was 12,000 miles from Buffalo, where I was interrupted occasionally by mortar and rocket fire as I did my daily duties. I was a 21-year-old U.S. Army broadcast specialist working for the Department of Defense at the American Forces Vietnam Network, where I quickly learned the metaphor between combat and broadcasting. We worked 12 hours on, 12 hours off, 7 days a week. We served an audience of 500,000 U.S. soldiers. I worked on both radio and TV in Vietnam. We had 7 up-country detachments. The engineers in this audience would have loved it. All of our FMs were 100,000 watts, top flight equipment. Our AMs were mostly 50K at the low end of the dial with signals that covered the entire Pacific Rim. We got QSL cards from new places like Sydney, Australia, Hong Kong, Tokyo, the Philippines. It was an amazing experience. And for the salespeople here, keep in mind it was American Forces Radio, and we were in a foreign country, so we really didn't have ratings, but we also didn't have any competition to speak of. My night show on AFVN, which was called the Orient Express, had a 95 share. How would you like to have that in Buffalo? Well, like I said, we had no competition. But what a wonderful experience to be able to service the men and the women in Vietnam and bring a little piece of home to them every single day. I had the I had the great pleasure to work with some people you know today, but when I knew them, they were just like me, just an everyday person. They weren't famous. Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune, Steve Croft, you might know from 60 Minutes, and a gentleman I met when I first got to Saigon introduced himself as John, and we chatted and got to know each other a little bit. I said, John, what's your last name? And he said, Steinbeck. And I said, Grapes of Wrath, Steinbeck? And he said, yeah, that's my dad. John Steinbeck the fourth. So, again, it was a wonderful experience and certainly great training for what broadcasting is like right back here in the good old USA. So what I'd like to do, because I want to move this program along, I want to thank and acknowledge a few people along the way. First and foremost, Steve Monaco and everybody here at the BBA. Thank you for the honor. My thanks to Clip Smith, Dave Hammond, Randy Michaels, Bob Harper, Bob Wood, Paul Bettany, Larry Levitt, Dick Reed, and Dick Green. And there are 8 guys named Tom on my list. 8 of them. So I'm going to give their names, their last names in alphabetical order. Benson, Sarabalo, Conley, Darrow, Donahue, Langmeyer. Now, Langmeyer is Tom Langmeyer. You saw him on that video. When he worked here in Buffalo at WGR, he flew the traffic copter and referred to himself as Captain Tom Langmeyer. Tom went on to a distinguished career in our industry, and he went from being a captain to being a general at places like KMOX in St. Louis, WGN in Chicago, and of course, TMJ in Milwaukee. Special thanks to two guys who work absolutely tirelessly to keep Buffalo Broadcasting alive online, Marty Viniaz and Steve Seashon, and we should give them a round of applause. I'd like to thank my boss at Odyssey, Tim Wenger, and the radio king of Niagara County, Bill Dunkey, at Kenmore Broadcasting. And I'd like to acknowledge and close by saying thanks to my former colleague at WGR. Some of you will remember him, the late John Otto. Thank you, John, for your wit, your wisdom, and your words. And I'll be with you. Thank you so much.
Wendie Malick is known from Buffalo to Hollywood and far beyond.
A real deal. From drama to comedy, Wendie has mastered both the TV and the silver screen, all while keeping true to her Buffalo roots. Let's take a look at the amazing career of our Wendie Malick.
Tonight, we honor one of Western New York's own, Wendie Malick. Wendie grew up right here in Western New York. A proud graduate of Williamsville South High School, she later studied at Buffalo State College before chasing her dream of acting. And what a journey it has been. From local stages to Hollywood sound stages, Wendie has built a remarkable career. She first broke out in HBO's groundbreaking comedy Dream On, winning 4 Cable Ace Awards. She became a household name as the unforgettable Nina Van Horn in Just Shoot Me, earning Golden Globe and Emmy nominations.
Touché, Miss Van Horn.
And she kept audiences laughing in Hot in Cleveland, where she and her castmates won a People's Choice Award.
A Japanese company wants me to do a commercial. Years of honing my craft, and finally my dream is coming true.
She may be the funniest person I know. She may be the funniest person on the planet. And the reason I think that her sense of humor lands so beautifully is because underneath the comedy, there's very real pain and joy and absurdity that we all experience in our lives. She's also an extraordinary human being, and I count myself lucky to be among her friends.
She's perfection. She could easily just, feel comfortable at a White House dinner as she is just mucking a horse. She's everything. She runs the gamut of humanity and beauty and peace and warmth and generosity. Oh my God, generous. I can't say enough about this beautiful woman.
Her credits span some of television's most beloved shows: Frasier, This Is Us, Grace and Frankie, Mom. And today, she lights up screens in Night Court and Apple TV's Shrinking, alongside Harrison Ford, as well as starring in Hallmark's The Chicken Sisters.
Hi, I'm Leah Thompson. You may know me from Back to the Future, but I'm here on the set of The Chicken Sisters. And I just want to tell you how much I love Wendie Malick. I am the head of her fan club for many years. She is a goddess. She is professional, kind, funny. She can even sing. I mean, really. And so we're all, hey you all. Say, hey, Wendie! Hey, Wendie!
Thank you. She's a wonderful actress. A very charming, intelligent person to have around when you're sitting around on a set. Really wonderfully charming, lovely, lovely lady. I am very lucky to be allowed to have 2 wives. And lucky that one of them is Wendie Malick.
On the big screen, the American President, Bugsy, Adventureland, Mac and Rita. But Wendie's story is about more than the spotlight. She has used her platform to champion causes close to her heart: environmental advocacy, protecting wild horses, and supporting medical care in Congo.
My name is Brett Goldstein. I've had the great privilege of working with Wendie Malick. She is one of the finest actors you will ever meet. She can make everything funny, she can make everything serious, sincere, sarcastic, whatever you need. She will make it sound natural, and she will make your writing sound much better than it has any right to be. She's a wonderful person. I love to spend time with her. We're very, very lucky we get to work with her and we get to hang out with her. And you, people of Buffalo, are lucky that you get to spend this night with her. Congratulations to you, Wendie Malick. You're wonderful. We love you.
Congratulations, and it's wonderful that you're honoring her. Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
I can't imagine a better person being inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Wendie, cheers.
Through it all, she has never forgotten where she came from. Williamsville shaped her. And tonight, Western New York welcomes her home. It is with great pride that we induct Wendie Malick into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Years ago, a friend of mine, writer Michael O'Donoghue, said to me, "You know, Wendie, you can take the girl out of Buffalo, but you can't take Buffalo out of the girl." Now, at the time, I was a little offended by this. Growing up, I fantasized about living in New York and Paris, and I was surely destined for bigger things than the suburbs of Western New York. Don't get me wrong, I had a really wonderful childhood. I started honing my acting chops at the high school right down the road, Williamsville, which was not Williamsville South, it was just plain old Williamsville, and the summers that we spent just across the Peace Bridge in Holloway Bay. But I just had an idea that there was something more exotic in store for me. Places that I had read about in books and seen in movies. What I didn't realize then was how much all the colorful people from my childhood would show up, both in my professional life and in my development as a human being. I can always spot someone from the Great Lakes. It's not just their accent, but it's this quality that they have that is making them more direct, somehow with an ironic take on things. I always attributed it to the winters, which the rest of the country seems to think are unfit for human beings. But my full appreciation of this town came when my parents were in their final years, Ken and Gigi Malick. They had moved from their house here in Williamsville to Orchard Park at Fox Run. My sister lives in New Hampshire, my daughter lives in New York, and my brother and I are both in LA. And although we came back at least every other month, obviously things would happen in between. And that was when I discovered that more important than chicken wings and beef on wick, Buffalo really deserves its reputation as the city of good neighbors. Now, you may at times be rather blunt and quite definite about your opinions, but in a pinch, you're always there for each other. I was reminded of the numerous times that strangers would plow my parents' driveway after a snow dump, and old friends were always ready to show up in an emergency. And no matter how polarized we may have been on the political spectrum, there was always a shared sense of community, enhanced by our rabid devotion to the Buffalo Bills. Somehow, through the love of football, we come together for the greater good. And someday we still believe we will make it all the way. I am deeply proud to call myself a Buffalo gal and credit this town with preparing me to meet my challenges ahead with grit, humor, and compassion. Thank you so much to the Buffalo Broadcasters for this honor, and thanks to all of you for being such good neighbors and true friends. And go Bills!
Congratulations. Congratulations.
All right, from Buffalo to the CBS anchor chair, our next inductee has shown exactly what talent looks like.
Sometimes you just know when you work with someone, I think we've all had this feeling that they have the potential to go very far in this business. And that's the way many of us felt when we worked with Jacquie Duncan at Channel 4 here in Buffalo. Here's a look at how she became a trusted voice on CBS News.
Jacquie was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1983. Due to her father's job as a local sports anchor, she moved around quite a bit. From Baltimore, she moved to New Haven, Connecticut, Raleigh, North Carolina, Phoenix, Arizona, Indianapolis, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. She graduated from Aurora High School near Cleveland and ran track at Ohio University, where she earned a full scholarship. Her first reporting job was in Elmira, New York. Just 2 years later, she came to Buffalo, working at WIVB from 2007 to 2010. Here, Jacquie earned a local Emmy for storm coverage and was among the first to report on the tragic Flight 3407 plane crash in Clarence in 2009. Her work contributed to 2 National Edward R. Murrow Awards.
Hi, Jacquie. It's Jacquie Walker from News 4 Buffalo. It's been a minute since we worked together here in Buffalo, but we always knew that you were bound for big things. You make us proud here. Congratulations on all your success at CBS, and congratulations on your induction into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Beyond the newsroom, she gave back, volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club and serving with the Black Leadership Commission on HIV/AIDS. From Buffalo, she moved to Philadelphia's KYW, where she won Associated Press honors for exposing a Social Security scam and brought national attention to Breonna Taylor's story. Today, Jacquie is a national correspondent for CBS News in New York. She's covered everything, from the White House to the accusations against R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, and Harvey Weinstein, the Chattanooga shootings, and the 70th anniversary of D-Day in Normandy. She's also produced a CBS documentary and podcast on the Sean Diddy Combs trial and hosted a BET special on the pop culture moments of 2024. Recognized by the NAACP and the National Association of Black Journalists, Jacquie Duncan has become one of the most trusted voices in journalism, turning every story she tells into a moment that matters.
Buffalo Broadcasters Association, may I just say, you guys know exactly what you're doing in honoring Jacquie Duncan this way. I thought, boy, these guys have very good taste. And they're also very smart, just like Jacquie Duncan herself. Did you guys know that her handle is I Am That Reporter? And I think that is so fitting because she is that reporter. She can cover anybody and anything. She has class, she has professionalism, she does not give up. She's like me in this way. She don't take no for an answer for something that she believes in. And I am so proud to be one of her colleagues. You know, she is well respected and well loved in this building. So as great as she is at her job, you haven't seen the real Jacquie. She's a great friend, but she's an even better mother. You haven't really lived until you're sitting next to Jacquie at her favorite daughter's play. Journey, by the way, is an actress in the making. Sitting next to Jacquie, who's snapping her fingers, tapping her toes, mouthing all the words along with Journey. That's who Jacquie Duncan is. As great as she is on camera, she's even better off camera. And I'm so proud of her, so proud to be one of her many, many friends. And I'm always waving my Jacquie Duncan pom-poms. Jacquie Duncan, cheering you on always. So give yourself a round of applause. Bravo.
Wow, I didn't know they got Gail to do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It is truly an honor to be here with so many of you whose faces I recognize. You all look the same, honestly. It's been a while since I was back here in Buffalo. I want to shout out Steve Monaco. A round of applause to him for keeping this going for so many years under his leadership. He works very hard. I got to see it up close and personal today. He picked me up from the airport. We went to a radio station, WUFO. We went and talked to kids at Buffalo State. He was there along the way to make sure that everything went smoothly. So thank you. So the question that I have, I think and many of us do when you get an esteemed award like this, is how did I get here? And why do I deserve to be honored? You got a sense of it with some of these videos. By the way, took a lot of talent, editors, putting these pictures together, the graphics and whatnot. So thank you to everyone who worked on those videos. But the video gave you a sense. I want to talk about the things that you didn't see. The prayers that covered me, the people who called me to tell me to keep going when I had a bad live shot. The family members, the friends that believed in me, Marnetta, Montrese, Carmelita, these are like my sisters here in Buffalo, and they were kind enough to come out and support me. What you didn't see was also a relentless attitude. Gail mentioned that word, and I think that does describe me in many ways because I don't give up. No just means not right now. You remember that, Mayor Byron Brown. You remember. No longer the mayor, but you'll always be mayor in my book. But I think that when you work hard and you do the work, things happen. Good things happen. Prayer, hard work, that's the recipe to me for success. And most importantly, when you truly believe in yourself, that is when you know you've truly made it. When you walk in your authenticity, that is when you know you have arrived. Not because of an award, not because you made it to network, but because you believe in yourself and you know you're doing the right thing. Life as a journalist is not easy and arguably harder today than ever before. Find the story, shoot the story, write the story, edit the story, present the story, do it with ease, post the story, follow up on the story, take a break, and do that again and again and again. Through that process, we've made our democracy stronger, we've changed laws, we've exposed, we've learned, while educating. These tenets, these principles and ideas were crafted for me right here in Buffalo, New York. I may not be from Buffalo, but I swear I bleed Buffalo. I love the Bills. I always cheer for you guys. But at a time, in all seriousness, at a time when speaking out loud can literally get you killed, we must continue to accurately, with open minds, cover hard truths with conviction and compassion and without fear. So I just want to take this time again to acknowledge all of the people here who put in the work day after day, who are changing as the industry changes to do important work that I believe still matters. And obviously everyone in this room, I believe, still believes the work that we do matters and is important. Before I go, again, congratulations to all the honorees and inductees into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I want to leave you with the words of one of my favorite actors, Andre DeShields. He said when he won the Tony Award at the age of 72, "Surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you. Slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. And the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next, so keep climbing." Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Our next Hall of Fame inductee has one of the most wide-ranging jobs in radio, that of production director.
You probably don't know the face. When you hear his voice, it's 100% unmistakable. He's also responsible for making sure we could all hear the Buffalo Bills over the air. So next to Josh Allen, he's kind of, the guy.
You will know this voice. Here's a look at the colorful career of Todd Brody.
Todd Brody loves radio production, working in the studio with clients, station imaging, producing a station's sound, This was, and still is, Todd's niche. Days in the studio that are never work. Todd Brody was born in 1963 in Scottsburg, Indiana. His father moved the family all over the East and South, finally arriving in Walworth, New York, outside of Rochester. In the fall of 1981, Todd enrolled at SUNY Fredonia. It was there that Todd met the now Professor Emeritus of Audio and Radio Studies, Dan Berggren, who taught Todd the basics of radio and production, and gave Todd the start of his radio career.
Music Radio 600, a little bit of Platinum Blonde, Somebody Somewhere, at 23 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock. Todd Brody here with you on a very warm Sunday evening going into the next week. It's going to be chilly. I'll have some information coming up for you, but first this.
Hi, this is Dan Berggren, joining you to celebrate Todd Brody's accomplishments and excellence in Buffalo radio. I was Todd's audio and radio professor at SUNY Fredonia, and whether we were working in the studio on a project or at the radio station where he engineered remotes, voiced and produced spots, Todd was always a pro from day one. So it's no surprise that he's being honored by the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. Congratulations, Todd. I'm proud to know you, proud to call you a friend. Ponderous, man, ponderous. Here's to you.
Todd's first radio job in college was working holidays and breaks at WACK in Newark, New York. And after college, moved to the Washington, D.C. area, working in Winchester, Virginia for around 6 months. In 1985, while at Fredonia, Todd was able to secure an internship in the WNYS Buffalo production department, working with Jim Pastrick, where for Todd, every day was a learning experience.
Todd Brody was a student at SUNY Fredonia when he came to us as a production intern in 1986. Very astute, very quick on the uptake. One of the very first things he accomplished was learning where to hang this and where to put this. It's an inside joke. He'll explain. Congratulations, my friend and my colleague, on your induction to the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Part-time, then turned to full-time overnights at WHTT.
It's 104.1 WHTT and Todd Brody on the overnight session. And we're having a good time tonight. Yeah, got some great tunes.
97 Rock returned to the air in 1989, and Todd was offered the assistant production director position with weekend and fill-in air work, which he loved. He left in 1993 for the production director job at WBEN Radio, which now, 32 years later, requires Todd to manage production at 6 Odyssey stations. In addition, since 2016, Todd has worked as the on-site tech producer for radio broadcasts of Buffalo Bills home and away games. It's been said that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And in Todd's 40-plus years in radio production, you can be sure there weren't many work days. And that's why tonight, we're proud to induct Todd Brody into the Buffalo Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame.
First off, I want to congratulate all the other inductees into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I've had the pleasure of working with most of you, and it's an honor going in with you today. I never imagined in my career that I would be standing up here at one of these events. I've been to them, and it never just crossed my mind. So here I am, and thank you for this honor. My dad did move us around quite a bit, but it was in New Hampshire where I had a clock radio in my room, and I would lay awake at night, and I would listen to whatever I could find late night. And usually it was late night talk, go figure that. But I have to thank my 9th grade English teacher, Mr. John Murphy, not the same John, Milford High School in Milford, New Hampshire. He pulled me aside after a class and told me I should consider a career in radio because I have a good speaking voice. So I have him to thank for putting that into my brain. After that, my dad moved us to New York. Where after high school, I found SUNY Fredonia, and I can't imagine what my life would have been like had I not found that place. That school, the radio station, WCVF, and the people that I met there. That place literally changed my life. And I found my way into the production studio when I was working for Jim at WHTT, and I'd done some on-air work, and it was just okay. I knew that being a DJ was not the career path, and Jim gave me that opportunity to go into production at 97 Rock when we both moved there in 1989, and that's where I wanted to be. Because first and foremost, being in production, it's job security. Because no matter what format consultants or PDs want to change a radio station to, they'll always need commercials, right? Because they pay the bills. And I stayed there for the last 32 years. There are a few people I want to acknowledge, the two men who taught me radio. You saw them in the video, my radio professor, Dan Berggren, who taught me the beginnings of radio, the basics, razor blade editing, if you can recall that, how to listen and the philosophy of radio, and Jim Pastrick, who taught me the art of commercial radio, imaging, and everything else that goes along with commercial production. When I was interning with Jim, I'd watch him in the production studio doing his magic, and I just couldn't wait for him to get the hell out of the room so I could try and do what he was doing. So I thank you, Jim, and thank you, Dan, for being here. Thanks to my parents. My mom is here. Hi, Mom. Wave at me. There you go. And I wish my dad was here, but I know he's watching, and I know he's smiling. He told me one time that first time he ever heard me on the radio when I was on WACK, he almost drove off the road. He couldn't believe he was hearing me on the radio. And he was very proud. My kids are here, Rihanna and Dallas, who have benefited from my career, getting tickets to various events throughout the years. You're welcome. I love you guys. You are, and to my Patty, my special person, thank you for being here and being with me and putting up with me. I love you. You are the best. And these two guys, who I met at Fredonia over 40 years ago, we've been on the same journey together, the highs and lows and everything in between, including a lot of beer. These two are basically my best friends, Kevin Devine, who would not have two jobs if it weren't for him, and Greg Harvey, who I've worked with at 97 Rock and at SMB Communications, and for the last almost 10 years, I worked with Greg on the Buffalo Bills radio network. He's the executive producer. He's the guy. And Greg, we probably spend more time with each other during the football season than we do with our own families. And finally, you just need to know that I am a voiceover whore. I will read anything for money. I'm not even kidding you. So from Rochester to Hamilton, Ontario, if you call a business and they put you on hold, chances are you're going to hear me. Totally true. Various cities in this country, in radio or TV, you might hear me. In structural videos of various types, you might hear me. In other words, you cannot get away from me. Just ask my ex-wives. They hate it. So seriously, thank you so much for this honor. You have no idea what this means to me. Production guys don't get this, so thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it.
Great station, great thing.
Welcome back to the 2025 Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame induction ceremony recap. Again, my name is Steve Monaco with the Buffalo Broadcasters, and I am sitting here with my partner in crime, Bill Yunke, who is our head sponsor tonight with WEBR and WLVL. And Bill, you got to tell me, with the career that you've had in broadcasting, are there any stories that stand out to you that you can share with us and the viewers at home?
Oh my God, that's when radio was fun. So, the first exposure I had, a lot of radio stations at the time were doing these area premieres. So we got to see the first premiere of the movies, and we invited our listeners to come and join us that night. Well, we opened up for Star Wars, the original Star Wars movie. And the movie company came down. All of a sudden, they give me an outfit of Darth Vader with the breathing and all the other things that interacted with it. And they paid me $25. Now, that was okay at the time. But when I knew that I could use it for the weekend, I went out partying with it. Now, when I returned it, I lost the eye somewhere. I kind of know where it was lost. But I did get chewed out from the station manager. Radio was fun. Another promotion we did one time was with Chris Christopherson in Convoy. And so I had the idea, let's put a convoy together. And we asked the listeners to join us at the Seneca Mall at the time. Join it, I thought maybe, 15, 20 cars. you know, I didn't realize 200 cars were going to show up. So here we're driving down Seneca, down to downtown Buffalo and around. I did get escorted by the sheriff's department eventually, going out to the movie theater, which was the Holiday Theater, what I recall. So those were fun times. You know, when radio, we could do some of those things, the promotion, the local attention. And that's kind of what I feel right now. In Buffalo, we got to tap into all the experience of all these great broadcasters in radio, TV, and whatever they're doing. Because if we don't start training the younger people to be creative like this, we're going to lose it, you know. And we need the experienced people, some of the people that are getting awards tonight, that they could share their experience with younger broadcasters that are around right now.
And I got to tell you, it's funny you say that. Jerica Duncan, anchor over at CBS Weekend on the national side, she was so graceful. She came to Buffalo State College and she spoke to those students for about an hour and a half. And she didn't have to do that, but she chose to do that, which I think kind of, it's Buffalo.
Right.
You know, you can just tell working with people from Buffalo. And I'll tell you what, the list of people from Buffalo is absolutely amazing. You know, Wendie Malick is being inducted here for the 2025 Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. But she's not the only one. We have Bill Fichtner, Christine Baranski. On the national side, we have people like Les Trent, Wolf Blitzer, Tim Russert. There is some real heritage when you talk about broadcasting in Buffalo. And, you know, it's amazing to see how some of these people have started out, you know, Jerica Duncan on WIVB Channel 4, and all the way up to the anchor desk on CBS National News. I think that's an amazing accomplishment, an amazing story. And again, Bill, thank you for supporting with WEBR and WLVL. And let's take another look at tonight's broadcast of the 2025 BBA Hall of Fame induction recap.
Kevin Keenan, the youngest of 9 children, was born in Olean, New York, to professors Leo and Ann Keenan. His very first job in journalism came in the 5th grade as a paperboy for the Buffalo Evening News. By high school, his passion for media had already taken shape. As a sophomore at Olean Senior High in 1975, Kevin created the Husky Half radio program on WMNS-AM, producing 92 episodes before graduation. In 1984, Kevin launched his professional broadcasting career at WBEN as a news anchor and airborne traffic reporter. He quickly became a trusted voice in Buffalo, hosting the top-rated Newsday at Noon and later co-hosting the Morning Drive Show with Bill Lacey. Along the way, he earned first place from the Buffalo Society of Professional Journalists for Best Local Documentary. He rose through the ranks as news director, program director, and operations manager. One of the defining moments of his career came in 2000 when he successfully merged the WBEN and WGR newsrooms, a feat he described as like building one roster out of the Bills and the Patriots. That same year, Kevin transitioned into faith-based communications as Director of Communications for the Diocese of Buffalo. There, he oversaw Daybreak television productions and diocesan radio, producing award-winning programs such as Legacy of Victory, Our Daily Bread, and the daily and Sunday televised masses. Today, Kevin is CEO of Keenan Communications Group, where he continues to shape public dialogue through media, storytelling, and strategic messaging. And all the while, he's been deeply rooted in service, holding leadership roles with Catholic Health, St. Joseph's Collegiate Institute, Villa Maria Academy, the Sisters of Mercy, and the New York State Catholic Conference. He shared his expertise as a lecturer at colleges and universities, served as a captain in the U.S. Army Reserve, and even found time to coach youth basketball and officiate swimming meets. From paperboy to broadcaster, from faith-based communicator to CEO, Kevin Keenan has built a career and a life dedicated to service, leadership, and the power of storytelling.
Hi everybody, it's Susan Rose at WBEN. I worked alongside Kevin Keenan back when I first started at the station. I have enormous respect for Kevin. He led by example, both on the air and behind the scenes. Under Kevin's leadership, the station took a seismic shift into a news talk format. Kevin was the visionary, and we're still in that format to a large degree today. Kevin, my heartfelt congratulations. I couldn't be happier to see you enter the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Hey Kevin, congratulations on your Hall of Fame induction to the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I can't tell you how excited I am for you. No, really, I can't. I do want to apologize for all those hard times that Bill Lacey and I gave you on Buffalo's Morning News on WBN back in the day, and for not being able to be there tonight. Really wish I could. You are a Hall of Fame person, so this is no surprise to me that you're finally getting your just due, and you've really been a Hall of Fame friend all of these years. Thanks for being a mentor and my compass in life. Your true friend. Love you for it. Congratulations and enjoy the evening.
Wasn't too long after we began our morning show run when one morning a salesman came bounding down the hallway and said, "Today, we're going to sing a jingle for Mike Barney. Who's in? Who wants to sing?" Well, Kevin raised his hands right away. He was ready to sing. He came from the newsroom side. This was quite a new experience for him, and I came from the commercial side. So I asked, "What's the talent fee?" And he said, "Well, nothing. It's a freebie." I developed a quick sore throat and advised Kevin maybe he wanted to rethink that. He was bound and determined to sing with the group. And sing he did. I'm sure you're familiar with that jingle. Mike Barney, me son. You've heard it, haven't you? It's been on the air for 30 years. 30. In that time, I bought 3 or 4 cars from Joe Caldarelli at Mike Barney. First time Joe said, "You sang in that commercial, Bill, didn't you?" I said, "Well, I sure did. I sang in that jingle, but Kevin sang so loud, he drowned me out." And Joe gave me a discount for that. Then for the successive cars, I always said, "Hey, Joe, don't forget about that jingle discount for me." I'm the only one who made money in that commercial, and I never sang in it. But hey, those are good times. Not only did I get a good on-air partner, I also got my best friend. I love you, pal. Congratulations.
To quote the late President Lyndon B. Johnson, "I wish my parents would have been here this evening to witness this. My father would have been very proud of all the kind things that have been said about me, and my mother would have believed them." Congratulations to all the honorees and inductees tonight. You all, in your individual performances, have made contributions to Buffalo's storied radio and television industry. And thank you to the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. Thank you, President Steve Monaco. Your call in June was very unexpected. And I'd also like to thank the 3 people who forwarded my nomination: Tom Langmeyer, Tim Wenger, and Susan Rose, all BBA Hall of Famers. Thank you for considering me worthy of this nomination. My broadcasting origin story started when I was 9 or 10. My parents, both teachers, got me a green Sears typewriter. And I used to take the Olean Times-Herald afternoon edition, and I would transcribe a few stories, and then I would force my parents to sit down and listen to me read the news. My mother was always very kind, and constructive criticism from my father, a no-nonsense English professor, was always expected, and he was always delivering with his constructive criticism. Fast forward to my sophomore year at Olean Senior High School. I had just finished my work as the public address announcer for the varsity football team when I heard a radio program on WMNS AM that was hosted by students from Archbishop Walsh High School. And I thought, why don't we have one for Olean High School? So my dad suggested that I write a letter to the station manager, and I did. Jack Gata, the general manager, invited me in. He listened to my proposal, and 50 years ago this November, the Husky Half went on the air. This was the first person who said yes to one of my asks. My cousin Tim Keenan, my fellow classmate Kevin Kenyon, and later some underclassmen broadcast Saturday mornings during the school year. We were spinning 45s, we were reporting sports, interviewing students and teachers, and it all began my love affair with radio that continues to this day. Jim McLaughlin at BEN said yes in 1984 when I moved to Buffalo. Bill Lacey said yes in his own way in 1993. Larry Levitt had the idea to put me on the morning show with Bill. And Bill was a solo writer, so this was a big, big change for him. He could not have been more gracious and more welcoming. We had a blast every hour of every shift, and I think you can see by the video that we are cherished friends to this day. And so I thank Bill among those who said yes. One of my most memorable career moments was in 2000 when we merged the BEN and the GR news departments. It was no easy task, but we had a group of broadcast professionals who came together and they formed an award-winning team to carry on the legacy of both of those radio stations. When I left BEN in 2000, Archbishop Henry Manziel and then Bishop Edward Kimmick both said yes, and that allowed me to change course in my career. The final yes to date came from Mayor Tony Masiello, Carl Calabrese, and Vic Martucci, my business partners and the founding partners along with me of Keenan Communications Group. I never thought I'd have my name on a business, but Tony, Vic, and Carl helped to make it happen, and it has been an incredibly rewarding experience, and they have become among my very best friends. Of course, the most important yes was from my wife, Debbie, and she's been with me every step of the way. She helps to keep me grounded. She has a keen understanding of what I do, and she serves as an invaluable advisor and partner. We have a son, Connor, who has had no say in any of this, but he's been along for the ride, and I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the journey as much as we are. I'd like to accept this honor tonight on behalf of the colleagues that I've worked with, those on the air and behind the scenes, the listeners, and everyone who said yes on my radio and television journey. I have had the time of my life. With gratitude, I want to close my remarks the way I ended my broadcast when I was a teenager, when I was KK the DJ. Thanks for listening. Be good, be yourself, but most of all, be good to yourself. Good night.
She is an award-winning anchor and reporter.
How do you respond to them that you still have the moral authority to lead this diocese?
And over the past 32 years at WGRZ Channel 2, Mary Alice Demler has become a household name and one of the most familiar faces in Western New York.
The plow drivers say that they can't get down the streets to plow because of all the parked cars.
And it all began with a tiara.
Miss New York State 1990 is Mary Alice Demler, Miss Buffalo.
After competing at Miss America, Mary Alice returned home to North Tonawanda to consider her next career move.
It was the early 90s that Mary Alice approached me as a friend. She wasn't looking for a job. She was approached by another radio station and she looked to me for advice. And I thought, selfishly, if she was going to work for that station, why couldn't she be on the air with me? I knew her ability to communicate. She had a unique ability to talk to people, not talk at people, and her pageantry and how she coached individuals, and I thought it might be a good fit.
And soon, Mary Alice's broadcast career was launched as Morning Drive co-host with Chili on 96.1 WJYE.
We're Joe and Mary Alice from 96.1 WJYE.
Western New York's home of soft rock favorites. Kind of upbeat and it really kickstarts my day. I love this part.
Turn on soft rock favorites, 96.1 WJYE.
She was there for 4 years, but while holding down that radio gig, she got the attention of Channel 2 news director and future Buffalo Broadcast Hall of Famer Jerry Fidel. She began doing weekend weather and quickly progressed to part-time reporter, and then promoted again to weekend anchor.
Now, Channel 2 News at 6 with Mary Alice Demler.
Good evening.
Her interest in impact journalism continued to grow with her reporting, filing stories on topics ranging from in vitro fertilization.
Clinics all across the country are setting up donor programs, but because the technology is so new, there aren't any state or federal guidelines set, which means clinics are left to set their own standards.
To an HIV-infected predator in Jamestown.
Channel 2's Mary Alice Demler has more now, live from Jamestown. Mary Alice?
Harold, I'm standing right outside Jamestown High School, and students are taking part in an informational assembly.
Mary Alice launched Channel 2 News Daybreak Newscast.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
First with co-anchor Harold Fisher, and then Pete Gallivan. As she took on more responsibility as a reporter and an anchor, it was obvious that she could connect well with viewers. And in 2001, a life-changing decision was made by Channel 2 management.
Well, it's an exclusive investigation we told you about first last night right here on Channel 2, and tonight it has the feds talking.
We told you about USA Today's special series that uncovered secret agreements between the U.S. government and private companies.
I'm Randall Stanley, former news director at Channel 2. 23 years ago, we made the decision to put Mary Alice Demler on the anchor desk, a decision that I think holds up very well today.
The Demler and Levin anchor team immediately clicked, bookended by two other future Buffalo Broadcast Hall of Famers, Ed Kilgore and Kevin O'Connell, and began the station's rise to rating dominance in the 2000s. From a longtime third-place station to first, and Demler's reporting work continued to evolve, taking on high-profile world events like the Salt Lake City Olympics.
Right across the street is the Olympic Medals Plaza, where the medal ceremonies will take place each and every night, along with some big-name entertainment.
The funeral of Pope John Paul II at the Vatican in Rome, Italy, as well as the papal conclave that elected Pope Francis.
Reporting live from Vatican City, Mary Alice Demler, Channel 2 News.
And in 2008, she became the first and only Buffalo anchor to win the coveted New York Emmy Award for Best On-Camera Talent News Anchor.
A very proud moment. I was happy to be there to celebrate with her.
The reporting honors followed with an Associated Press Award for Best Interview and a second New York Emmy for her in-depth report, Prison and Persistence. In subsequent years, she expanded her role into investigative reporting, which has also been recognized with an Edward R. Murrow Award for investigative reporting.
In December, the council did a similar behind-closed-door move, this one involving a sweetheart deal for a prime piece of riverfront property.
Throughout her career, Mary Alice has been deeply involved with several community service organizations, spending countless hours as a board member on not-for-profits like Kids Escaping Drugs, Peace Prints, the Miss Buffalo organization, and Canal Fest of the Tonawandas. And Mary Alice has remained committed to her beloved alma mater, Niagara University, who has honored her with their Founders Award and St. Vincent de Paul Award. She currently serves on their Board of Trustees, and last spring delivered the undergraduate commencement address.
I was confident that if there was any potential for greatness inside me, Niagara would be the place where I would start to cultivate that.
I have been so blessed to work with someone like you. You have been my partner in crime on the desk for the better part of 3 decades now, and there is no one more worthy of being inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame than you. And we have just had a great run so far. I hope it continues for many more years. But there is no one more worthy to be inducted into the Hall of Fame than you. You deserve this recognition, Mary Alice, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. Congratulations from the bottom of my heart. I love you like a sister. Congrats.
It is my honor, on behalf of all the souls in the WGRZ Manifest, to congratulate you, Mary Alice, on a job well done. You are now enshrined in the pantheon of the Buffalo Broadcasters greats, and you will walk among the giants of our industry. Congratulations. Well done, Mary Alice.
Actually, I knew that she was Hall of Fame material then. What took you guys so long? Mary Alice, congratulations on a great honor.
For her 3 decades of career excellence, the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame is proud to induct WGRZ news anchor and reporter Mary Alice Demler.
Thanks, everybody. So many hairstyles, so little time to review. I had actually forgotten that I was a brunette once. How about that? But I first of all want to thank Nate Benson, my colleague at Channel 2, who helped scour the archives, which is no small feat in the Channel 2 building. So Nate, thank you so much for doing all that hard work over 32 years. For those of you in the business, you know how many format changes we've had in that time. And some of the machines to play those tapes don't even exist. So we had some engineering work too of cobbling everything together, but it was quite a ride to take a look at all those reports and all those world events, and it was really a thrill. So I have to tell you tonight that it is really, truly humbling to be here, being inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasting Hall of Fame, filled with all those legends of Buffalo TV and radio that I grew up idolizing. It almost seems surreal. We were a radio and TV family in our family in North Tonawanda. The radio went on at 5 a.m. every morning when my dad got us up, and it stayed on until sign off, and same thing with television, sign on to sign off. So please understand though, I am not an award chaser. And I know you just watched a video talking about some of my career highlights, but I always looked at awards as sort of necessary evils, because during a contract year, you know, you sometimes have to show your worth to the general manager before you go in to talk about that next deal. So I saw it as a necessary evil, but it really was a means to an end. So I have to tell you honestly, I never really thought about entering the Hall of Fame. And I was really kind of ambivalent about it until I got the call from Noah Masiewski telling me that I was one of the nominees and that my name was going to be submitted to the membership for consideration and for voting. And okay, whatever. So after the days and weeks passed and I didn't hear anything, my ambivalence started to melt away. And I found myself thinking, if I don't get in this Hall of Fame, I am going to be really pissed. You know, that's really not like me, but who am I kidding? This is such a big deal. And to my family and to my friends and apparently a lot of colleagues and viewers who have sent along so many kind messages and congratulations since June, it has been an unexpected thrill, and I am so, so grateful. But I have to start off by thanking someone, one person in particular, who way back in 1990 inspired and encouraged me to pursue broadcast journalism. I met Steve Brown when he was at Channel 2 on his very first tour of duty reporting, and I was encouraged actually to take his broadcast news writing class that he was teaching at Canisius College. It's a little hard to get that school name out. Well, that experience as one of Steve's students, and he was no easy A, mind you, really sealed the deal. And Steve has remained a friend and a mentor over the past 35 years. So thank you, Steve, for giving me the best news tip of my life. Thank you. Along with the aforementioned Joe Chili from WJYE, who was so generous and really helped to develop my talent. I'm also grateful to the news directors who built Two on Your Side, who pushed me to take my skills to another level. Randall Stanley, Ellen Crook, and Jeff Woodard, they were intense, they were demanding, and sometimes downright scary, but they made me better. And I remember Ellen Crook bringing me into her office and saying, "So what do you want your epitaph to read? Mary Alice Demler, former beauty queen. Mary Alice Demler, great journalist." That lit a fire in me that I cannot tell you. The BQ, beauty queen thing, as my friends will attest, is not primarily how I want to be remembered, though very proud of that accomplishment. I also have to thank all my colleagues at Channel 2, my wonderfully supportive second family. I have been fortunate to work with some great producers, editors, photojournalist Scott May, directors, production crew, editor Colin Carroll, who shared long hours and adrenaline-pumping news stories. It was always a thrill to watch all of you work at such a high level. And to my fellow anchors and reporters at Channel 2, on the desk and in the field, you inspire me. Let me tell you what it is like to be the main anchor at a station filled with superstars. It's pretty great. It is one of the secrets to my success that I feel compelled to bring it myself every night because they do. Our bench is pretty deep. And I have to name them: Dave McKinley, Melissa Holmes, Adam Bonini, Claudine Ewing, Nate Benson, Ron Plans, Patrick Hammer, Dan Russell, John Scott, just to name a few of my favorites. Credit goes also to our former general manager, Jim Tolner, who's here tonight, who retained these phenomenal journalists over the years. Jim, thank you for that. And having supportive and talented co-anchors makes all the difference in your life. And I have been fortunate to have the very best that a girl could ask for. First, on Daybreak, Harold Fisher and Pete Gallivan, both men I deeply admire for their talent, their sense of humor, especially at that ungodly hour. I am a night owl by nature. I was born to be a main anchor, and to come in every day at 3 a.m. and have Pete Gallivan cracking jokes, doing his West Side Pete routine, was really, how you doing? I got it every morning, is one of my favorite memories, Pete, of our time together. And Scott Levin, our anchor man, my brother from another mother. What a blessing, friend, you are in my life. A close friend, a confidant, a cheerleader, a sounding board, a financial advisor, a health guru, dating coach, and perhaps most importantly, my spiritual brother. This business is tough. You know what we do. We report some devastating stories day in and day out. And I have somewhat of a wonderful counselor in Scott Levin, and we were able to talk about life and career in the world and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and how that gets us through some of these really devastating things that we report on each and every day. In an industry that is rife with megalomaniacs, Lev, you defy the stereotype. And from a performance standpoint, each and every night, Scott Levin challenges me because he is flawless. You're also a great collaborator, the better tennis player who brings his A game each and every night. And as a journalist, you care about the people in this community as much as I do. And you have a servant's heart, except when it comes to my personal comfort in the studio. 23 years, folks. The one and only argument we have ever had. Where's Amy? What's the argument? Temperature in the studio. It's freezing cold, ladies and gentlemen, because that's how Mr. Levin likes it. To my family, especially my 94-year-old mother who is here tonight, you are my anchor. Stand up, Mom. Please take a bow. Give us a wave. Love you. You are my anchor and the wind beneath my wings from the time I first stepped into the spotlight at my second grade Gilmore Elementary School talent show. Both my mom and my dearly departed father gave me so much love and support and encouragement, and most importantly, instilled in me our beautiful Catholic values and the value of hard work. To my siblings, to my niece Sarah, and my close friends from elementary school. So girls, we have logged 15 years together. Brenda, Carlene, Nancy, Sue, thank you for being here tonight. You ground me. You never hold back telling me exactly what you think, and I value all your insights and your critiques. From Scripture, Mark 11:22, I believe that God is living out a divine plan through me, and He has. And not that it's always been easy. Like everyone, I've had my trials, but He never disappoints. He brought me to my beloved Niagara University, which transformed my life and set me on a trajectory to live my faith every day through my vocation. So the president of Niagara, Father Jim Marr, and Father Greg Kazubo, You've become great friends who have been there with me through so many of those trials. So I thank you for your friendship and being the wonderful priest that you are. Thank you. A defining moment happened in my life when I found journalism and realized that I could use my God-given talent to serve the community that I love. I'm grateful to have worked at a station where the mission is to be the voice of the voiceless and holding people in power accountable. It's more important than ever that we do that job and that we do it aggressively every single day. Local broadcast news has never been so challenged, and it takes strong, capable leadership to pull everyone together and move in the right direction. The Channel 2 team owes a great debt to our current general manager, Mark Manders, and his leadership team, who has navigated and will continue to navigate through some difficult waters. And Mark has done it with such determination and really outstanding courage. So thank you, Mark, for being that bold, steadfast leader when we needed you the most. In closing, I accept this honor with so much deep gratitude for the teachers and the colleagues and the family and the friends and a large, loyal Channel 2 audience who made this all possible. You made this proud descendant of South Buffalo Irish immigrants from 1850 and proud German immigrants from North Tonawanda so proud to have been able to achieve the American dream. Thank you for this incredible honor of a lifetime. I am proud to be part of the Buffalo Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Our next inductee went from enforcer on the ice to enlightened analyst on television.
He's also made being on TV a full contact sport. Let's take a look at the Razor himself.
As a young man from Sterling, Ontario, Rob Ray, also known as Razor, worked for his father's farm machinery business. He left home at 15 to play hockey. Inspired by his father's work ethic, Rob put his heart and soul into his sport, eventually becoming a member of the Buffalo Sabres.
From the very first practice that we had, my very first training camp in 1995, and he kept telling everybody, hey, you know what? If you want to work on your confidence, go down to Marty's end. He's given up a ton of goals. And then my transition into the broadcasting with the Sabres, and you always giving me a hard time from, the pregame to the postgame, during the game. You've been a great teammate, and that's what I love about you, is you stayed the same.
Ray's hockey career took him all over the United States, Canada, and all over the world. He won numerous awards along the way, including the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame and the Buffalo Sabres Hall of Fame.
Razor, congrats, you're going into yet another Hall of Fame. You're good at what you do, you deserve it.
Razor says when it came time to hang up his skates, a career in broadcasting was not on his radar until he was approached by the Sabres president at the time, Larry Quinn.
Well, congrats, Rob. It's been an honor to be the guy that you always copy for every game. I know you use all my information. I'm more than happy to give it to you. No, anyway. Congrats, and the great thing about Rob Ray is he gives me the prospect and the knowledge of an NHL player. You've been a great part of hockey as a player, now as a broadcaster. You've brought a lot of joy to fans, and more to come. But again, congrats.
You've given us a lot of good hockey stories on and off the ice. You've given us some good insight in terms of how you view the team. We hope, of course, for better stories to come.
Ray joined the Sabres broadcast crew as a color commentator more than 20 years ago. He says his biggest lesson in broadcasting was to not make Rick Jenneret mad and to bring him cold beer after games. You'll usually find Razor reporting from between the benches during games.
The two most overused words in sports broadcasting: unbelievable and great. And this honor is truly unbelievable. Congrats, Razor.
He was known as a tough guy on the ice, but feels people would be surprised to learn that he's a very quiet person. The only things he's afraid of are his sister and his daughter. And he feels very fortunate to live out his childhood dream with the greatest wife and 2 children anyone could have.
They want a funny story about working with you. As if that's not funny itself.
How about a hot dog in the pocket in Montreal that all started with game notes in Detroit one night when you were making fun of our pocket squares on the air? And then not once but twice you'd take a puck upside the head and you've never been more popular.
Congratulations on being inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
I will kind of give you a piece of advice. Pay attention to the ice. Pay attention to the puck. If you need one of my masks this year, I will gladly let you borrow one so you don't get hit in the face. You got to protect that beautiful face of yours. So anyway, congratulations to many, many more years of working together, and big cheers to all the nominees.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Rob Ray into the Hall of Fame.
I've been listening to everybody that's come up here tonight, and I'm just sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, I have absolutely no idea why I'm up here, because the things you guys have all accomplished, be proud of it, and everybody now today and in the past, congratulations to all, because it's a tough job. And I'll tell you what, it's for me, it's a job that's on the road an awful lot, and you miss an awful lot of things, from, you know, hockey games to birthdays to holidays. And my wife and family are the greatest people in the world. They support me all the time, and it doesn't matter, you know, how late you get home and how many things you miss. You know, they're just continue to be highly supportive. So I thank you, and I love you guys for that. Hey, as on the thing there, when I retired as a player, Larry Quinn approached me about doing TV, and I had no aspirations of doing it. I was just going to do my own thing and walk away. And thank God to Larry, he gave me the opportunity to do it. My path to this job is a lot different than most people we've listened to here tonight. I was very fortunate, and I thank Larry for giving me that chance. I can't come up here and talk about this without talking about Rick Jeanneret. And it was the greatest blessing I could have, is have an opportunity to work with Rick. As a player, you used to get in a fight, something happened on the ice, and you'd hurry into the dressing room just to see how he put it out on the air and listen to it, and it was fabulous. He made little things into amazing things, and when I had the chance to work with him, he was kind of the guy that taught me. But my classroom was every little dive bar and bowling alley all across North America, because that's where we met and had class every day while we were on the road. So it was not a great environment. He actually scared the heck out of me when I first started working for him. We were friends when I played. We'd hang out, have beers, whatever. And then when you started working for him, he started getting critical. And he'd be like, at commercial breaks, he'd be pushing the button going, "Why the hell you say that? Don't say that. Say the name the way I say it, not the way you want to say it." I'm like, "RJ, you're saying it wrong all the time. Don't worry about it. Just do what I do." And sometimes it got a little heated, but I learned quickly that a cold six-pack after the game, putting in his lap when we get on the bus, that was really good for our relationship. So, you know, we did well there. But he did teach me a few things, and things you've kind of carried over and told other people. And you know, he just always said, "Hey, let the game breathe. You don't have to fill every second of the game. When you stop and think about it, it's right." He said, "You want the people to feel the emotion in the building through the TV or radio, so shut up." And he goes, "When things are bad, I will say something stupid to you. You comment on it. We'll go back and forth a little bit, but I get the last word, and you be quiet, and then I'll go back doing the game." And he says, "Everybody will forget about what happened in the game, and all they're going to be is thinking about how stupid you and I are." So he says that's called distraction method by RJ. And so you learn those little things really quick. But you know, finally, I just want to thank a lot of the people that I work with. Some are here right now. You know, Danny Dunleavy, you've seen him in the thing. He's doing an excellent job in the play-by-play. His passion, his love for the game, his amazing road to the NHL is incredible. And Dan, it's a pleasure to be working with you now. You just can't pick on him because he's a little sensitive sometimes. So Brian Duff, beautiful person, passionate about his work and life. You just can't piss him off because he holds a grudge forever. Marty, as you saw in the video there, honestly, I understand about 25% of what comes out of that man's mouth. Just can't do it. RJ used to call it, he speaks Fringlish. But when you're on TV and guys in your ear and he goes, "Yeah, you got 30 seconds to fill," you kind of look at Marty because you know he'll fill it. And Harry Neal I had a chance to work with, who was in the Hall of Fame, broadcaster. And I have to say that Harry taught me absolutely nothing other than dirty jokes. And when we're on the road, where the teams keep the beer for after the game. And that was always his big thing. So awesome. I love man. He was a beautiful man. Chris Anbelis, I've worked with you for forever. You're my boss, but you're my friend, and you're great. And another guy that is, I got to say something about, is Joe Pinter. He did so much for me, and he pretty much taught me everything I know, and I still know nothing, so I don't know what that says about him. But Joe, I thank you for all you've done. And the big thing is, I just never dreamed I'd be a broadcaster, and it was really never on my radar, but I've been lucky enough to make a second career of covering the team that I love for the city I love, and it's been awesome. So thanks. It's an honor to be inducted in the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Congratulations to everybody, and thank you guys.
Our final Hall of Fame inductee takes it to the next level.
Yeah, from the New Year's ball drop to living in a semi-trailer, raising money and collecting food to feed the less fortunate, Jixter has been there for Western New York.
Absolutely, and we've all seen it. Yes, he has. His good work continues. Here's a look now at the career filled with caring of Dave Jixter.
As a high school class president, Dave Jixter hired himself to DJ school dances.
Our first real show was our junior year of high school. You and I got ourselves elected president and vice president of the class, and immediately hired ourselves to do the homecoming dance.
Jixter began his radio career in 1998 at WCJW in Warsaw, where there are more cows than people. He worked under the guidance of Lloyd Lane, who helped him land his dream job at 97 Rock in 2005.
Jixter started out as a DJ in Attica, and so there was nowhere to go but up.
Hearing Larry Norton do crazy stunts on the radio and watching him introduce bands in front of thousands of people inspired Jixter to pursue a career in broadcasting.
And Jim Kelly used to always say, yes, the quarterback, we'd have Jim on, and Jim would say, listen, you got to hire this guy, Jixter, because he really needs a job. And I told Jixter, I said, listen, if you have any ideas, if you're at a concert, you want to call in with a report, you should do that, and if it's good, I'll put you on there. And I did, and I can't believe that he's made a career out of that.
Jixter went on to become the marketing and promotions director for 97 Rock. Longtime program director John Hager was always impressed with Jixter's commitment to the community. He volunteered to MC countless charity events, including Jim Kelly's annual golf tournament, the Buffalo Music Awards, Ryan Miller's Catwalk for Charity, and many more.
Jixter, it's Ryan Miller. Just want to say congratulations on your induction into the Western New York Broadcasters Hall of Fame. That's a great honor and well-deserved. I just want to say I appreciate all your help over the years from a charity event.
Jixter is incredibly generous with his time. He has emceed hundreds and hundreds of charity events and participated in over the years. And when we asked him one time, would you be willing to live on a moving truck until it was filled with food that we would then donate to, at the time, the Food Bank of Western New York? Jixter didn't bat an eye, absolutely. And he's been doing it now for over a couple of decades.
When not at work, he enjoys playing hockey, skiing, and hosting guests at his legendary bar, Southern South Buffalo. His biggest lesson from his career? The most important thing to do when you have a large media platform to stand on is to use that power to serve your community the best that you can.
He's still working, apparently. Congratulations, I guess.
Jixter, congratulations. Thank you so much for supporting Harrison's Playmakers for all these years, for being a dear friend of mine. And man, congratulations on being inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame broadcaster, Hall of Fame person, Hall of Fame friend. Thankful for you.
But you never stop believing in yourself, and I'm so glad I was there at the beginning, and so proud of you for making the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
So Dave, congratulations on being inducted into the class of 2025 Hall of Fame for the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. Well deserved.
Hey everybody, welcome to the big induction night. I'm here to give a good talk, a good speech about DJ Jixter. And hold on, I'll tell you what, I hate doing videos. Let me just do it in person. wearing this gold jacket because of all the things I did. I'm wearing this jacket because of the people that I had in my life the whole time. From my growing up to playing for the Buffalo Bills, and now being able to induct one of my best friends. We started many, many years ago, and Jixter came to my tailgate party, and he played the music that I love, and that's classic rock. There's nothing like 70s and 80s music. I don't know whether you like that, but that's just the way I am. I love that music, and from the time I met him, we hit it off. From all the things that he did for my kids, every birthday party that we had for my kids, he was the DJ. And all my friends, after hearing what he's all about, they all of a sudden, everybody became a part of DJ Jixter's magic. And I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart for all you have done for Buffalo. You do so much for charities. You've been doing my Kelly for Kids Foundation and Hunter's Hope ever since it was founded. And I thank you so very much for that, Jixter. And also, one of the big ones, the Rock God Hunger. Who would stay for I don't know how many days you do it in a row in the cold of Buffalo in the back of a tractor trailer just waiting for people to bring food? Only one person would do that. So I'm honored today to induct Mr. DJ David Jixter into the Buffalo Broadcasting 2025 Hall of Fame. Let's give it up.
Everybody. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, JK. I did, by the way, 36 years ago today was the miracle in Miami where Jim, with his blazing speed, last play of the game, beat the Dolphins 36 years ago today. Dougie, that was great. Thank you. Dougie was my best friend in high school, and we're still very, very close to Dougie and his family. And he was there from the very beginning, which turned out to be very important to my career. And John Hager, thank you very much for those kind words. But tonight it's not about me. I want to celebrate the people that helped me get here. But first, I'd like to introduce you to my mom. She's 88 years old. She looks like she's 60. She's right over there, everybody, Mrs. Jixter. My sister Carol's over there, and Jim, and that table over there is very special. So, anyways, a long time ago, 97 Rock's vice president at the time, Kevin Legret, came up to me. We were at training camp. I was with Jim Kelly. We were at training camp, and he asked me to be promotions director for 97 Rock. And I said, Kevin, thank you very much for that gesture and offer, but I want to be on air. And he goes, well, I talked to John Hager, who was the program director for 97 Rock, and he's got a plan for that. Boy, did he ever. I started broadcasting from all the concerts and doing concert reviews, doing concert previews, and then John had me fill in for the morning show, and then I started quarterbacking the morning show for Larry Norton when he was on vacation, and I swear to God, in his contract, he got 30 weeks vacation because I was quarterbacking that morning show all the time. And I did the same thing with the Morning Bull show. I did JP's midday show when he was on vacation. I did the afternoon drive, Slick Tom show. I was filling in for everybody, and I had a TV career. I was doing some shows for WBBZ-TV. Bill's great Freddie Jackson, remember Freddie, number 22? He had a show, the Freddie Jackson Show, with Bob Kaczynski, and I was a part of that. And then I became the co-host for former Buffalo Bills wide receiver Robert Woods, and I was a co-host for that, and then a co-host for In the Zone. So that was a big help to my career as well. And I want to thank John DeShulo for having the patience with me. Cumulus is our company right now, and the company I've been working for. And Beth, is Beth still here? Beth, thank you very much. Beth is our vice president, general manager, market manager. She runs 3 markets, Erie, Syracuse, Buffalo. She got like 3 tables for all my coworkers, who are amazing, by the way, especially the DJs. Shred and Reagan, they had to leave because they have to do morning show tomorrow, but they are a pleasure to work with. Jim Jacka, you make me laugh every single day, sir. You are awesome. Stella, Megan, Alessia, congratulations on your award. You deserve it. I tell you what, you work your ass off. Oops, sorry, Mom. Anita and McGee, Joe Christopher, thank you so much for just making 97 Rock sound great. I'm still a fan of the station, even though I work for it. Tamara, our sales manager, thank you for all your help. And Joe Saragusa, Classic Hits 104.1, you are awesome, Joe. Thanks for being here for this special day for me. Russell J. Salvatore. Russell, I can't say enough about you. You are an inspiration, not just to me, but to everybody. You are everywhere. You're the most generous person I've ever met. Russell Salvatore, you are the man. Thank you very much. Make-A-Wish, Western New York. My God, they do so much to grant wishes here. And it's very emotional to talk about, but they put smiles on children's faces and their families' faces. And it costs a lot of money to grant a wish. Therefore, 97 Rock will be having our 31st annual Make-A-Wish Radiothon. It's coming up September 25th and 26th. Kelly for Kids and Hunter's Hope. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit. The charity money that you put back into this community too, Jim, is off the charts. And we want to thank you so much for doing everything you do. Hunter's Hope with the newborn screening is saving children's lives every single day. And the Kelly for Kids Foundation, that money goes to all kinds of incredible charities here in Buffalo. So Jim Kelly, you weren't only a hero on the football field, you're a hero supporting Buffalo. This year will mark the 20th anniversary of Operation Rock Out Hunger. Hunger is everywhere. Over the past 19 years, I've heard so many firsthand stories about how Feed More has helped feed struggling citizens and feeding their families. So you guys are amazing. If you ever get a chance to volunteer for Feed More, please do so. But you guys do a great job. And it's the 20th anniversary, the Tuesday right before Thanksgiving. So if you can make a donation or scan a QR code that's on our website and make a donation, we greatly appreciate that. I want to thank everyone for helping me into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I want to thank everyone for helping me help the community. And I can honestly say that I did the best I could do. So thank you, everybody. God bless.
Thank you for joining us tonight for the 2025 recap of the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. And I got to tell you, Bill, I want to touch on it for a second. You know, the history of WEBR, and that's something I wanted to tell the viewers at home. You know, the Buffalo Broadcasters Association has the BBA archive, which has thousands and tens of thousands of tapes and feet of film and so many different just little pieces of history from broadcasting in Buffalo. And, you know, I got to say, to get the WEBR letters back up and running here in Buffalo is such an amazing feat. And I might sound like a little bit of a nerd when it comes to broadcasting, but I got to say thank you to that. And, you know, again, can you give us a little bit about WEBR and its history and its importance here in Buffalo?
Well, when I started hearing about the history of EBR, you know, as I mentioned earlier, that it was the second station that went on the air here in Buffalo back in 1924. And then people were starting to come to the station and wanting to go through the station, see what it was like. And they're telling me they all worked there, you know, from engineers to broadcasters. And I listened to their stories. I was the guy that I owned the station, so I put them on the air. Let's do it live. Tell me your story. And so that's what Buffalo is all about. I think we got to get back to local. We got to get back, if it's radio, TV, and I pray that we are teaching the younger people to learn the industry and stay in Buffalo. And let's bring Buffalo back on the map. When I see some of the archives you have, and I always see the WEBR microphones through time, you know, and it's amazing when I see this stuff that it's still here. And a lot of you guys have this in our storage, and I think you are filming some of this, and eventually I understand there's going to be
and getting it out to the public, which is something we'll be doing at the 2026 Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame at that induction ceremony, which I might add is September 17th, 2026 at Salvatore's Italian Gardens on Transit and Genesee. And, you know, One of the biggest parts of the BBA is us keeping all of these artifacts and storing them properly. You know, when you talk about 3/4-inch tapes, the big VCR tapes, to the people who don't know what those are, or the film, you know, we have to keep this in climate-controlled places.
Right.
And this doesn't come free. You know, the BBA works day in and day out to raise money for the organization. And I have to say, if you love broadcasting and you love what broadcasting has given you and your family here in Buffalo, we encourage you to go to buffalobroadcasters.com. Again, that's buffalobroadcasters.com. You can sign up to volunteer. You can become a member if you choose, or you can make donations to the organization itself, which goes a very long way. Now, the archive is not everything that the BBA does. One of the things that I do want to touch upon is our educational initiatives. We have some of the greatest teachers that are on our board and even on the executive committee now. And we are in multiple different schools. For an example, Buff State Communications Department. We're also with Canisius University. And we work with these students and teach them and groom them on the proper ways of journalism and the proper ways of being a professional broadcaster, not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera. And I got to say, these are all different parts of the organization that people can help with and be a part of. On the education side, it's Broadcasting Buffalo and the Buffalo Sports Insider, which are two shows that we have that go directly to the consumer, to the end user, or viewers at home. Linear television is how we do the Broadcasting Buffalo. And then the Buffalo Sports Insider is a digital program that you can see anywhere in the world, all done right here from Buffalo. And as we come to the end of tonight, I do want to say thank you. First, Bill, you have done so much for Buffalo broadcasting, and you've done so much to help us. And we thank you for your support. To our entire Buffalo Broadcasters Association board, to all of our volunteers, thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate the viewers. Please check us out at buffalobroadcasters.com. You can also catch us on social media. We would like to say thank you to all of the crew here at WBBZ for everything that they've done for shooting this incredible event for us and then airing it for us as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I am Steve Monaco with Bill Jacquie. Have a great night.